too.
Believe it or not, some of the most grateful people I've ever met in my life, I met in a maximum security prison. Some of them serving decades-long sentences. Some of them serving life sentences. Now, by no means do I want you to think if you walk into a maximum security prison, it's going to be like this abundant, grateful zone. It isn't, okay? You know, the way I would describe it when I would come back to my wife would be, especially in a place like that, you got a lot of them that are just institutionalized. And whatever a human being is, they're not really a human being anymore. And then you'd have the dangerous ones, the feral ones, which kind of, you know, they kept them away from you. And then you'd find a very small number that were, to me, some of the most free human beings I've ever met. And without exception, they were the ones that even in a maximum security prison were able to find things to be grateful about. And ever since, it's served as a great lesson to me that any time in my life when I have found myself getting depressed or upset, my return to sanity, my return to being positive is always through being grateful. Always through being grateful. Now, this last weekend, our 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, I found myself being very grateful. I found myself wanting to be positive, wanting to think of all the great things we have going on in our lives and in our country. And I came face to face with the opposite of gratefulness. It blew me away that some of those reels I put up and some of the posts I put up about our 250th anniversary, how negative and just hateful people were. You know, like I had somebody that because I said America was great, they said, go blank yourself. Okay, that's all I said. It was like a 20-second video. Just hateful things and negativity. And you could just sense a darkness about it. But you know, it's a lesson of what happens to us if we turn from gratefulness towards what's wrong with other people or our lives. And the internet feeds off of that. But every day we wake up, there's something to be grateful for. I saw it in those maximum security prisons. Grateful that I'm alive. Grateful that I can eat. Grateful that today there are people I'm going to come in contact with that I can help. You know, when you would meet men in those prisons that were grateful, every one of them helped other people. None of them were isolated and alone. I'm grateful. I'm happy. No, they exhibited that in the way that they treated other people. And you see the same thing happens to us. When a human being is grateful for just the air they breathe, okay, for the moment in time that they have right now to be healthy. You know, when you're living that way, typically what then happens, you want to share it with other people. You want to be kind to the person in the checkout line. You want to call that old friend you haven't talked to in a while that might need help. You do things to help others, which all have value, which all have purpose, which all have meaning. Now, the unfortunate thing that I, learned, already knew, but you own it, you learn it when it's in your face, is that the internet, like it or not, it's kind of like a microphone. It's like an amplifier of negativity, okay? Because all the internet cares about are views. That's it. They don't care if I'm viewing that because I hate it or if I'm viewing that because I agree with it and I love it. And then usually the loudest voices get amplified. And then the danger is you look at that and you think, well, that's the way the world is and that's the way everybody is. And then you get sucked down, that negativity, gratefulness trap. When really what you need to do is the opposite. And what you need to think to yourself is, that is a human being that I need to pray for. That is a human being I need to say something kind to. Hey man, I'm sorry if I offended you. Hey, I apologize. That wasn't my point. Even if they're just trying to ruffle feathers, even if you say it, they're going to say something back. Inject kindness into the world. Inject love into the world. Don't be the cynic. It's so easy to be a cynic. It's so easy to be a negative. We see it in families. We see it in marriage. You're married to somebody for long enough. I promise you, because my wife and I have been married for over 27 years. If you want, you got a list of things you could just start going down about what you don't like about them and how they've wronged you and how they don't understand you and how come you keep, we're humans. We make mistakes every day. I was just watching this video and about this guy that wrote a book that with all the laws and rules and regulations in our world, that the average person breaks the law like 3 times a day without even knowing it. Okay, well, if you're breaking the law 3 times a day, how often every day are you doing something that maybe lets somebody down? So you're going to have a long list if you want to focus on that. But then on the flip side of it, you can focus on the things that you're grateful for. Okay? Keeping the family fed, taking care of the kids, educating the kids, being there through the tough times, all those things. It is 100% your choice. Am I going to be grateful or am I going to be cynical? Am I going to focus on the good? Am I going to focus on the bad? And it's a choice that we make every single day from the moment that we wake up to the time that we go to bed. A choice we make when we decide what we're going to look at, how we're going to comment, what we're not going to say, what we are going to say, what we're going to do for another person. So as we come off this amazing, fantastic 250th anniversary of our Declaration of Independence for the greatest country in the world. And if you don't think it's the greatest country in the world, what do you think the greatest country in the world is? And if you really believe that, move there. If you really believe that, right, what sucks about America and what's good and compare it to anybody else. Great doesn't mean perfect, okay? Loving somebody doesn't mean everything about them is awesome. All of that is a choice we make. And I know this, traveling this great country all the time, having spoke or trained in every single one of the continental U.S. states, haven't been to Hawaii yet. There is an endless list of reasons and things to go. America is awesome. And if that's what you focus on, that's how you're going to feel. And on the flip side of that, there's an endless list of things to go, America sucks. And if that's what you focus on, that's where your head's going to go. And that is your choice. So make a choice today to be grateful. And I'm going to end with this. I want you to sit there until you can finish the list. I want you to write down 20 things in your life, in your family, in your community, in your country. I don't care what it is that you're grateful for. And it could be as simple as the air you breathe. It could be the house that you live in. It could be anything you want. It could be your health. You might have horrible health and it might be, it could be worse. I don't care what it is. Write down 20 things you're grateful for and then start living that way. Don't be the haters. Don't be the people with the dark souls, okay? With the angry heads, with the fire coming out of their eyes. Don't be that person. That's not a good place to be. You want to be the person that you could be anywhere. You could be in a maximum security prison that you're never going to leave, which I don't think any of you are if you're watching this. And you could have things to be grateful for. So I am Silouan, and I am grateful that you could watch this and I could be here with you. Peace.